Greetings. I know on this channel that I suggested that the earth is, you can sort of see it as an eyeball. And if you think of the iris part of the eye as being like a multi-strand cable, so imagine if the cable is chopped, so you've got a series of rods. And you wonder, something I was watching one of Jason Archaic's channel's videos, and he said he twice tried to start the video, and the simulacrum will just keep presenting various interruptions and things. And I find this as well, and I know other channels find this. You think, right, this is the time to make the video, and all sorts of things in the external seem to just happen. It's just the way it is. It's like an interaction between the eyes and the external. Remember that we're a micro universe within a macro sort of wheels within wheels. Incidentally, talking of Archaic's channel, for those of you that have no idea about this channel, I should imagine a lot of you do, because it's a channel that has basically put together a timeline, a chronology to all the historical events, and there are patterns in them, in the timings of things. Now, before you, if you're not familiar with that channel, before you even go there, I'm going to say go to Simplicity Revealed channel. I'll put the link in the description, and Julia has made a beautiful series that gives an overview briefly. It's up to 8 parts because it is an enormous topic, but that's a good place to start. I would take what Jason says in Archaics is he cites the source material and invites you to check this out for yourself. But I would go a step further than that. Something that you know you have a particular knowledge of, to put those same 108-year markers and things, put them to the test with anything that and see what results you get. Now, I have done this with the composer Anton Bruckner, and it does check out. Jason is very specific about the year 2040, and now also it would seem 2028. Possibly an assassination in Romania. Well, it's 12 years before 2040. Again, that is a repeat of things that happened in 1890, and then the year 1902, 12 years later. Again, straight away there is a marker there. So I'd invite you all to take to quote Neville Goddard basically, test it for yourself with anything. Don't take anybody's information at face value. Apply the formulas and things and test it out for yourself. Then only you will know if it sits right with you. Anyway, on to the main topic of this video. And it's funny the way this simulacrum, this external reality, will sort of follow that seek and ye shall find. But at the same time, it can just pop in your head. Now, almost out of nowhere, something will just come, and this is what happened to me yesterday. The idea of this Roman soldier that pierced the side of Jesus on the cross. So I thought, let's have a look into this. What do we know about this guy? It's quite revealing, actually. I've pretty much written out word for word the Wikipedia entry on this, basically asking the question about who pierced the side of Jesus on the cross, on just a straightforward Google search. So this is what we get from Wikipedia. Longinus is the name given to the unnamed Roman soldier who pierced the side of Jesus with a lance and who in medieval and submodern Christian traditions is described as a convert to Christianity. His name first appeared in the apocryphal Gospel of Nicodemus. The lance is called in Christianity the Holy Lance, and the story is related in the Gospel of John during the crucifixion. The act is said to have created the last of the 5 holy wounds of Christ. The person unnamed in the Gospel is further identified in some versions of the legend as the centurion present at the crucifixion who said that Jesus was the Son of God. So he is considered as one of the first Christians and Roman converts. Longinus legends grew over the years to the point that he was said to have converted to Christianity after the crucifixion, and he is traditionally venerated as a saint in the Roman Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and several other Christian communities. An early tradition found in the 6th or 7th century pseudepigraphal letter of Herod to Pilate claims that Longinus suffered for having pierced Jesus, and that he was condemned to a cave where every night a lion came and mauled him until dawn, after which his body healed back to normal in a pattern that would repeat until the end of time. It's recording again. I had to pause it there for a minute. So, you've got this, where were we? You've got basically that same story in Greek mythology, except it's an eagle that pecks out the liver of, is it Hercules? I can't actually remember, but it's basically the same story. You can see straight away there's an overlay there, I would suggest. So back to the wiki article. Later editions turned him into a Christian convert, but as Sabine Baring-Gould observed, the name Longinus was not known to the Greeks previous to the Patriarch Germanus in 715. It was introduced amongst the Westerns from the apocryphal Gospel of Nicodemus. There is no reliable authority for the acts and martyrdom of this saint. The name is probably Latinized from the Greek lance, the word used for lance mentioned in John 19:34. It first appears lettered on an illumination of the crucifixion besides the figure of a soldier holding a spear, written perhaps contemporaneously in horizontal Greek letters, Longinus, in the Syriac Gospel manuscript illuminated by a certain Rabulus in the year 586 in the Laurentian Library, Florence. The spear, also known as the Spear of Destiny, which was revered at Jerusalem by the 6th century, although neither the centurion nor the name Longinus were invoked in any surviving report. Blindness or other eye problems are not mentioned until after the 10th century. Petrus Cornestor was one of the first to add an eyesight problem to the legend, and his text can be translated as blind, dim-sighted, or weak-sighted. The Golden Legend says that he saw celestial signs before conversion, and that his eye problems might have been caused by illness or age. Well, I think most people, they find their eyesight deteriorates as they get older. No surprise there. Christian legend has it that Longinus was a blind Roman centurion who thrust the spear into Christ's side at the crucifixion. Some of Jesus' blood fell upon his eyes and he was healed. Upon this miracle, Longinus believed in Jesus, and his feast day is the 16th of October. Incidentally, it was until 1969 under Roman Catholic. The feast day, I believe, was the 15th of March. There's obviously numeric codes in this to pay attention to. Now, interestingly, just going off on a slight tangent here, I was listening to two Neville Goddard lectures, two late lectures from 1969 and 1971 on the Brian Scott channel. I'll put the links in the description for these. The Dweller on the Threshold and I Am the Cause, which actually are very relevant to this. Basically, the Dweller on the Threshold is this beautiful creature and this really hideous creature. And it's the hideous creature that you feed. Neville talks about, in biblical terms, that you only kill that which should not live. Well, that is the monsters that we create in our minds, the illusory fears of things. They're the things you should be killing off, not actually a physical killing, because it's no harm to anyone. So you're not doing any harm to anyone if you're killing off doubts and fears about anything within yourself. And this is the whole point of it. The spear. It is all metaphor and allegory. It is not a literal, secular or historical story. Let's get this straight. You have a macro and a micro. This is all about what is going within oneself. No doubt there is a macro reflection to this, but we'll stick with the within and the internal. Well, the first thing to notice about this is the name, Longinus. What is the longing in us? What is it you most long for? See, it's another one of those words that ends in U and S, us, like Christus, Thalamus, Chorus. I forget all the other ones now. But it all, and of course, Jesus, he is us. It is talking about you. Now, you are looking up at a spirit, your own spirit. It's raising it to here, to the heavens. And that is the longing in us. This is exactly what Neville's talking about when you kill the beast. And he talks about it also in terms of when you've got and Christians are going to find this particularly painful, because in the spiritual growth, the spiritual path, it is all about letting go of the external, and that includes an external Jesus, an external Christ, which is based on a fallacy, and it is heavily overlaid and fed to you as a literal story, which it is not. The spear, again, is a metaphor, is allegory. The spear, to put it graphically, represents the penis. It's the insertion of the seed into the darkness, i.e. into the vagina. When you are inspired, that is the spear inside you. It pierces the heart, because it is letting out. It is the age of Aquarius. It is an outpouring of the heart. That is all it is showing. The cross is your physical body. I mean, the whole story, if you take it the way it is given, this is a historical story. I can understand you would have recovering soldiers. You don't send them straight back to the battlefront. You'd use them as, say, prison guards and things, and you give them lighter duties. But a blind centurion, really? Come on. That just, it's not talking about physical blindness. Because you are that Roman centurion. You are releasing the Christ within you from the heart. You are now doing things from the heart. That is what the outpouring of the heart is. So you inspire yourself, you spear yourself, you die unto yourself, basically. This is what this is all about. So just going back over a few other bits that we saw in here. I mean, the other thing is, think about how ridiculous it is. You raise to sainthood someone who is basically an assassin, but you can also argue it that in that story that the other two on the cross, which is represent the two robbers representing past and future, they have their legs broken. It says in John 19, I think it's verse 36, about the Christ does not have any bones broken. Well, the Christ is a spiritual essence inside you, so the bones couldn't be broken anyway. It's a mercy killing. It's an act of mercy, like Neville Goddard talks about as well. The creation of man, so God can become man, is an act of love. It is an act of mercy to go through the experience of the creation. But notice also that this name Longinus, the longing in us, first came about, introduced by the patriarch Germinus. Well, what is the germ in us? It is again the seed. Notice also the year 715. Well, it's talking about your five senses used internally, along with your instinct and your intuition giving you 7. The 5 senses in the external is where you get the 5 from, and the 1 is the balance between the 7 and the 5. Often you'll find you get this 12-7 split. This 12 split into 7 and 5. And of course that makes 13. Again, you have your 12 cranial nerves, your 12 disciples, the seat of God is right here. Incidentally, the Great Pyramid of Giza again encodes this. I was thinking about this just prior to making this video, this tree of good and evil, this knowledge of good and evil. Well, as Jason on Archaics says, the evil must have existed before man even came into the equation. But it doesn't mean it is good or bad. It is just a knowledge of it, seeing both sides. It's like a yin and yang. It's the balance between the two. Anything else we want to say on this? Yeah, so the blindness is when you finally reveal to yourself the thing that you've been searching for all along is going on within you. This whole play out in the micro sense of this whole crucifixion scene is the beginning of the story. It's where your journey begins. Also notice the lance mentioned in John 19:34. Again, 19, the Alpha and the Omega, the 1 and the 9, the beginning and the end, the 3 and the 4, the divine feminine, the divine masculine makes a 7. It is also the 7 chakras. So hopefully that's put a bit of clarity on the internal perspectives, because this is the thing. Whether you go along and totally agree with what Jason says in Archaics Channel or not, you've got specific dates, but he's not spreading fear. There is no fear about what goes on in the external anyway. The only fear is what you import, what you take from that external world and how you feel about it. Things, yes, they can look bleak, they can look grim, but that's a reflection. Remember that. That is an external reflection of what you can sort out internally within your own universe, within inside yourself. Anyway, we've gone up to 19 minutes, so I think that's plenty long enough, and hopefully that's brought a bit of clarity to it. It's just amazing the way these things come. They're just seeds that are planted in the mind from where, I do not know. Maybe they're just something that's going around and it just pops to the surface. And it's like, well, it would be wrong to keep it to oneself. It's something I feel should be shared. Up to you what you do with the information, how you feel about it, but don't shoot the messenger. Interesting times ahead. I have no fear about what is coming. Just stay focused in the now. That's all that matters. Again, it comes back to this whole crucifix story of the two robbers, the past and the future. The one robber was forgiven, which is the past, because it's the realization of what he'd done up to then was wrong. But if you're still going to carry on doing that in the future, well, you're not going to be forgiven, are you? Internalize everything and weigh it up for yourself. Again, the scales of labor, the justice. The justice is blindfolded. It's all in feeling within oneself. So you can create something of beauty, or you can create a monster. And likewise with this knowledge of good and evil, you can go out in the world and you can do either. You have the ability, like Neville Goddard says, you have this power to use or misuse. That is your free will. But these things all come at consequences. And can you honestly say that what Neville Goddard, the way he has described it, is about you come back into a body of about 20 years old with a seeming backstory of a childhood that you don't know is real or not, which is probably part of this simulacrum. It cannot be denied because it cannot be proven either.